You wake up before the sun rises. The ground is hard beneath you. The cold air bites at your skin as you slowly open your eyes. Your muscles carry a dull, heavy ache from the day before. How will you move today? You do not stretch on a padded foam mat. You do not mix a caffeinated pre-workout drink. You do not have a perfectly curated playlist to get your heart rate up. You simply stand up and prepare to face the unforgiving wilderness. For 99% of human history, this was not a morning fitness routine. This was the absolute baseline of survival. This was every single morning for roughly 300,000 years. Today, millions of people schedule an hour a day to artificially strain their bodies. We drive our cars to climate-controlled rooms. We lift heavy pieces of iron just to put them back down. We run in place on motorized treadmills while staring at screens. But for the vast majority of our time on this planet, your ancestors possessed a level of physical discipline that would completely break most modern humans. How did they achieve this elite physical conditioning without ever trying to? They did not have training programs. They did not have isolated exercises or personal records. They had a daily life that demanded constant, relentless, and unforgiving physical output. To truly understand the sheer capacity of the ancient human body, you have to look at the bones left behind in the dirt. The archaeological record tells a compelling story of extreme, the chronic physical exertion. Look at the groundbreaking research of Dr. Colin Shaw at the University of Cambridge. He spent years meticulously analyzing the skeletal remains of ancient agriculturalists and early hunter-gatherers. He specifically looked at the rigidity, shape, and density of their leg bones. The cross-sections of these ancient bones revealed something completely staggering to modern science. The average male hunter-gatherer living thousands of years ago had the leg strength and bone density of a modern elite cross-country runner. Does your skeleton reflect the life you lead today? Every step your ancestors took over uneven terrain forced their bones to adapt and thicken. Bones are not dead scaffolding inside your body. They are highly active living tissues that constantly remodel themselves based on the mechanical stress placed upon them. When you run or carry a heavy load, the impact forces microscopic fractures in the bone matrix. Your body rushes to repair these fractures, making the bone substantially thicker and stronger than it was before. Our ancestors were not running at sunrise for a personal best time. They were tracking wounded prey across miles of harsh, unyielding landscape. They were walking vast distances just to find a reliable source of fresh water. Movement was never a choice. Movement was the only way to stay alive, and it sculpted their skeletons into pillars of dense, unbreakable calcium. But it was not just endless endurance running across the savanna. The ancient world required immense upper body power and raw functional strength to survive close quarters encounters. Look at the famous Neanderthal skeleton known as La Ferracie I, discovered deep in a cave system in France. When anthropologists examined this remarkably complete skeleton, they found massive, pronounced muscle attachment points on the collarbones, shoulders, and arms. These thick, jagged ridges of bone only form when muscles are subjected to intense, repetitive pulling and lifting over a grueling lifetime. What kind of load were they carrying to build such monstrous frames? They were not doing isolated push-ups to build their chests for vanity. They were grappling with massive animal carcasses that weighed hundreds of pounds. They were dragging heavy wooden logs and large boulders to build primitive shelters to survive the biting cold of the Pleistocene epoch. They were thrusting heavy wooden spears directly into the thick hides of Ice Age megafauna. Every single physical action required full body tension and explosive, unyielding power. Ambush hunting meant getting dangerously close to terrified, massive beasts. It meant holding on for dear life when an animal thrashed. Their physical discipline was forged in the dirt, the mud, and the blood of daily, grueling labor. Their bodies were beautiful, terrifying engines of sheer, uncompromising force. Your body is quite literally designed for this exact type of punishment. Consider the extensive work of Dr. Daniel Lieberman, a paleoanthropologist at Harvard University. He has spent his career studying the evolutionary biomechanics of human endurance running. He found that our bodies are packed with hidden anatomical features that only make sense if we were born to run long distances. Look at the nuchal ligament in the back of your neck. It acts like an organic shock absorber, keeping your head perfectly steady while you sprint over rough ground. Look at your Achilles tendon. It acts like a massive biological spring, storing kinetic energy and releasing it with every single stride you take. Look at your millions of specialized sweat glands. We are one of the only mammals on Earth that can rapidly cool down by sweating while in full, continuous motion. A cheetah might be incredibly fast, but it overheats in mere minutes and must stop. Your ancestor could run a heavily furred gazelle to absolute physical exhaustion under the blazing savanna sun. You are the direct descendant of the ultimate persistence predator. You were built to outlast everything else in the forest. This constant physical demand shaped the very structure of the human engine. It forced the body to become incredibly efficient at managing energy and repairing torn muscle tissue. But there is a massive, pervasive misconception about how our ancestors actually lived their daily lives. We often picture them in a constant state of frantic, high-intensity exertion. We imagine them sprinting away from apex predators or wrestling cave bears every single afternoon. What if the secret to their physical discipline was actually how they rested? This brings us to the fascinating work of Dr. Herman Poncer. He is an evolutionary anthropologist who spent years living alongside the Hadza people in northern Tanzania. The Hadza are one of the last remaining traditional hunter-gatherer populations on Earth, living much like our distant ancestors did. Poncer wanted to measure exactly how many calories a hunter-gatherer burns in a single day compared to a modern person living in a city. He used highly advanced, doubly labeled water techniques to perfectly track their daily energy expenditure down to the calorie. The results completely upended decades of established assumptions about human metabolism and ancient fitness. Despite walking miles every single day, climbing tall baobab trees for honey, and digging up tough tubers from the hard dirt, the Hadza do not burn significantly more total calories than a modern, sedentary office worker. How is that even physically possible? The human body is a supreme master of adaptation. When you are highly active, your body dynamically adjusts by spending less energy on background physiological processes. It turns down the invisible dial on cellular inflammation. It reduces reproductive hormone levels just enough to save precious metabolic fuel. It meticulously optimizes itself to handle the massive physical load without starving to death in a calorie-scarce environment. More importantly, Poncer observed that when the Hadza are not actively hunting or gathering food, they are resting. They sit quietly by the fire. They squat low on the ground, a posture that requires deep flexibility but minimal energy. They conserve their precious calories with extreme, calculated efficiency. They do not pace aimlessly around the camp. They do not go for a recreational jog just to burn off excess steam. In the ancient world, burning excess calories for fun was a literal death sentence. Their incredible physical conditioning was a byproduct of absolute necessity, carefully balanced by profound, restorative rest. This social resting around the fire was critical, as noted by anthropologist Dr. Polly Wiesner, who found that campfire time was used for storytelling, bonding, and mental recovery, allowing their exhausted bodies to heal for the next day's trials. So let us reconstruct a true, typical day in the life of your ancient ancestor. The sun is just beginning to crest over the dusty horizon. You step out of your temporary shelter into the crisp, cool morning air. You do not do a dynamic warm-up or stretch your hamstrings. You simply grab a heavy wooden digging stick and a sharp stone hand axe, and you begin walking. You walk for 2 hours straight over jagged rocks, thorny brush, and shifting sand. The landscape is vast, silent, and unforgiving. Suddenly, you spot the fresh tracks of a large deer, and your steady pace quickens. You track the animal for another 3 hours, navigating thick brush and steep, treacherous inclines. Your eyes scan the horizon constantly. Your breathing is steady and controlled. Finally, you corner the animal and secure the kill. But the work is not over. Now, the real physical trial begins. You must butcher the massive animal using only sharp stones. It takes hours of intense physical labor, hacking through incredibly tough sinew, cartilage, and thick bone. You must load 80 pounds of bloody, raw meat onto your bare back. You must carry that immense, awkward, shifting weight for 4 miles back to your camp before dangerous scavengers smell the blood in the wind and come looking for a fight. Your legs burn with lactic acid. Your back aches profoundly. Your grip strength is tested to its absolute breaking limit. Sweat stings your eyes and mixes with the dirt on your face. You do not drop the meat. You push through the intense internal conflict, the deep, screaming urge to stop and rest, because your family will literally starve if you fail. This was true physical discipline. It was not motivated by vanity. It was not driven by a desire to look a certain way in a mirror or impress a stranger. It was driven by the deepest, most primal biological imperative embedded in your DNA: survival. The mental fortitude required to keep moving forward when every single muscle fiber is screaming for relief is something most modern humans have completely lost touch with. There was no safety net to catch you. There was no grocery store down the street if you gave up and went home empty-handed. You either endured the immense physical pain, or you died in the dirt. The counterintuitive twist to all of this is that they never viewed this as a workout. They hated physical exertion just as much as you do on a lazy Sunday. They sought comfort, warmth, and rest whenever they could safely find it. Humans are naturally lazy creatures because conserving energy is a brilliant, highly effective evolutionary survival strategy. This biological truth is exactly why the invention of agriculture changed the course of human history forever. Agriculture was not just a clever way to secure a more stable food supply. It was a desperate attempt to make life easier, to permanently stop the endless, punishing daily grind of chasing elusive calories across a dangerous landscape. But it was a massive biological trap. By domesticating wild crops, we inadvertently domesticated ourselves. We stopped walking 10 miles a day. We started doing highly repetitive, the back-breaking farm labor that systematically destroyed our joints over time. Studies of early farmers show a massive increase in severe osteoarthritis, dental decay, and a sharp, sudden decline in overall bone density compared to their robust hunter-gatherer ancestors. We willingly traded our elite physical conditioning for the predictable security of a wheat field. We eventually succeeded in making life easier. Over millennia, we slowly engineered the physical struggle right out of our daily existence. You can now summon thousands of dense calories directly to your front door with the gentle tap of a smooth glass screen. You can sit comfortably in a soft, ergonomic chair for 8 hours a day without taking a single meaningful step. You can ride an electric elevator to the 5th floor instead of ever taking the stairs. But your deep biology has not forgotten the ancient world. You are walking around right now in a complex biological machine that was meticulously engineered for relentless, daily survival. When you do push-ups on your living room floor, you are artificially simulating the act of pushing yourself off the rocky ground. When you run on a treadmill at sunrise, you are artificially simulating the ancestral hunt. You have to artificially recreate the physical adversity your body was built to endure because your deep subconscious brain knows you desperately need it to function properly. Without that intense physical stress, your body slowly degrades. Your dense bones thin out. Your strong muscles atrophy. Your immune system falters. We have entirely replaced the harsh, demanding realities of nature with the artificial discipline of the modern gym. We have to violently force ourselves to move because the modern world no longer requires it of us. We have to invent arbitrary physical challenges because our environment has become far too safe, far too soft, and far too comfortable. But the immense capacity for that ancient, raw power is still lying dormant inside your muscles, your tendons, and your bones. It is patiently waiting for the right signal, the right amount of physical stress, to wake up, adapt, and transform you. You just have to be willing to embrace the discomfort and apply the pressure. You wake up when your body is ready.